great to see you all. It's always such a pleasure to come in. Your chapel is beautiful. I love the simplicity of it. It's so beautiful, the decorations that have been chosen. And it just is perfect. I love your tree. It's all just gorgeous. And in this time of the year, you know, we're all pretty busy, to say the least, right? But you know, it doesn't have to make us crazy. That's where our free will comes in, and our decisiveness and our selectiveness. But as we move into December and January, we're really moving into what the Native Americans call cave time. It's our time to slow down. And in our society, we're revving up. It started around Halloween, and it started to pick up momentum as we went toward Thanksgiving, and that's the way our culture, it wants us to keep going to all those parties and having lots and lots and lots to do through Christmas and New Year's, and then maybe you can slow down. Well, I want to invite you to begin weaving that slowing down in now. Maybe don't take so many invitations. Ask yourself, do I really want to be there? Is this truly what my heart's desiring? And if it's a solid yes, by golly, go. But if there's resistance, I invite you to maybe bow out of those particular choices. You know, it's all about our receptivity. And I want to read you a little piece that I found that in the Science of Mind book by Dr. Ernest Holmes, which is what got me started on this particular spiritual path. Long time ago, I want to say over 30 years ago. This gentleman, I believe, was way before his time, though he speaks in his time, and so the wording is challenging for me, particularly, maybe not for your ears. But what I want you to focus in on is the fact that his teaching, like so many of the spiritual practices he went through with a fine-tooth comb to find the common threads and create this philosophy, because that's the work he had on his plate, what he chose to do. He went through all the major religions and he found the common threads that were all the truth with the capital T, right? And he put it in this book, and you all practice the very same things that Dr. Holmes was talking about in unity. You all practice it. So this may not sound too foreign to your ears. This is in regard to your vision. And you know, as we go into cave time, we will, one, review the seeds we planted this year and what came to fruition. What worked out for us, what went really well. That's a great thing to review during cave time. The other piece of cave time is to start looking ahead to 2020 and think about what you want to grow in 2020, personally as well as in your outer world. I mean, we all have stuff we're working on. That's not ever going to stop. I think it's part of the human contract. We come in with things we want to work on and learn and perfect and grow from. We're here to expand consciousness. And so as you look at 2020, you're going to want to look at, where do I want to continue growing? In what areas of myself do I want to continue growing? And possibly with this new full moon coming up in just the next week, it's a great time to look at what you want to let go. Endings. Life is a constant unfolding of things we birth and grow, and then they die. Birth and death are guaranteed. On the physical level, we know on the spiritual level, there's none of that. We're eternal beings that just go on and on and on. But in our day-to-day life, we have a lot of things that we create and enjoy and grow from, and then maybe it's time that they die away. And we make room, you see, as we let go of those things that are no longer really powerful to us anymore, really helping us on our journey. As we let go of those things, we make space for the new to come in. And that's the receptivity I want to talk to you about today. We are like radio towers. We are vibrating, electric, energetic beings. And as we think, we have feelings that come up to support those thoughts, expand those thoughts. And immediately at that point, the most powerful law in the universe says, I got you. Law of attraction says, I hear that. I'm going to send you some more thoughts that are like that. I'm going to send you some people that will help you hone that. But what's really crucial here and what I want us to focus in on is your receptivity. Because it's so easy to go through life with this idea that life is happening to us. It's not why you came. You didn't come to face reality. You came to create it. You came to create something fresh and new that's just yours. And it doesn't have to be some big grandiose thing. It can be, but often it's many small things that are vitally important to you. And your heart guides that. You know what is creating excitement in you, what brings passion to you. And there is where you're vibrating. And receiving comes, our society, our culture has taught us we have to have a plan, and we got to work the plan. We got to know what, how, when, why, who. We got to have all the components, and we got to keep marching. Recently, in the past couple of years, I've learned that is such a bunch of bunk. It is so not what works. What really, really works is to recognize spirit has the how, what, why, and when. Or no, the how, what, when, and who. That's spirit's job. Our job is the what and why. Well, that leaves a lot for my ego to get nervous about because of my programming and my conditioning that says, I gotta have an idea what to do about this. There's plenty of ideas that will come if I'm receptive to them coming. So let me read this briefly. He that receiveth a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he that receiveth a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. There comes to each the logical and exact result of his own receptivity. To each, life brings the reward of his own visioning. To the pure, all is pure. To the righteous, all is righteous. And to the good, all is good. The reward of merit is an objective outcome of merit itself, and not a thing superimposed by any divine mandate. Each man is rewarded not for virtue, but through virtue. I believe what Dr. Holmes was trying to talk about here is that we all have very clear connection to our higher self. Now, long, long ago, and in many other religions still today, we talk about the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost that resides within. Well, Abraham, as in Esther Hicks, and some very powerful teachings that I to this day truly resonate with and listen to all the time, had a new piece of information that really helped me. A gentleman sat in what they call the hot seat in their workshops, which is just someone coming up from the audience and asking a question. Abraham is just a conglomerate of energies, intelligence, infinite intelligence. So the question this gentleman asked, infinite intelligence, was, tell me about my soul. How do I understand it better? How do I tune into it better? And what was given back was, let me start with this. Your inner being, soul, your inner being has an inner being that 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 has an inner being, and that goes on out into infinity, and that is infinite intelligence. That put a new spin on things for me. In other words, what I really got from that was that my soul, my inner being, is connected constantly to infinite intelligence. And if I can get out of the way of my own programming and ego and things that want to run rampant in my head, and chill, relax more, I become like a cork. We're all, if you will, bear with me, corks. We're floating on the water, just lovely, lovely, lovely. That's the way we're supposed to be. But when we have judgment and opinion and feel defensive and compare ourselves, it's like pulling our cork down under the water. We can't be receptive to the infinite intelligence that is trying to give us direction around our stuff. We all have stuff. We have hang-ups, beliefs, mostly, that don't serve us. And we're not maybe conscious that they don't serve us, but the bottom line is they're there, and they get in the way. Well, that's nothing to be worried about, because if you choose to relax more, meditate more, spend more time petting your cat, loving on your dogs, taking walks in our gorgeous forests, or however you want to chill, you give yourself that, I promise you, the inspirations are going to come pouring in. And how do you know they're coming from your higher self? Because they feel so good when they arrive in your mind. There aren't those pieces of, oh yeah, but, that come with our normal conditioning and programming. It's like you feel the thought come in and you're just maybe covered with goosebumps, or you feel this excitement erupting within your belly. It feels so good. It feels life-giving. It feels like, oh yeah, I'd love that. That's inspired direction. And that's what I humbly offer, we do more of. Follow that. It may seem like it's taking you on a wild goose chase, but I will promise you, if you follow it, you will find that wild goose chase is nothing of the sort. It is taking you to the next person or the next place or the next piece of information you need to follow your dreams. Which brings me to the next piece. I want to invite you all to dream more. And I don't mean in the sleep dream time. That's a good thing, though. Sleep dreams are great if you're good at remembering them. There's good information for you there. You might want to do some writing about that, because your dream time is very valuable, and it's giving you information about what you are working on subconsciously. Okay, so that's good stuff. But daydreaming is what I'm talking about. And we have, as a culture, been trained away from it. Our children do it constantly. You know how they always said in the Bible, do as the little children, be as the little children? That's what they're talking about. Chill, have more fun, play more, dream more. And I don't want you to get the impression that I'm saying have a topic and dream about it. That's creating more resistance, actually. Because your mind will come in and say, oh, but this reason and that reason, and this reason, that won't happen. So instead of that, just let yourself be free to welcome anything that comes through your mind, and let yourself run with it if it feels good. That's what I'm talking about. Daydream more. Where you say, wow. When you open your eyes, it's like, oh my gosh, wouldn't that just be amazing? Yes, and it can come to fruition if you continue to allow yourself to be resistant-free. In there lies the rub. Because this generation of people, we live with one foot back here in the patriarchal society that has ruled for hundreds of years. We live with our other foot over here in the society where masculine and feminine energy is coming back into balance. Now the little ones coming in, they've got none of this. And what's really exciting is that many parents are on board with these philosophies now. And they don't try and teach the children what they need to learn to be safe in this world. In other words, they don't start right out of the gate inundating them with fearful thoughts, which is what our parents did. Not because they wanted us to live in fear, they were trying to keep us safe. They were trying to prepare us for the big bad world that's out there. Well, I don't know about you guys, but my world is not big and bad. My personal world is full of nothing but loving people and fun times. And that's because that's what I'm creating. I'm putting my focus on what I want. Do I know how it's going to manifest? Is it going to keep going? Of course it's going to keep going. And no, I don't know. But it's not my job to know. My job is to keep following those inspired cues and clues and guidance that comes from chilling out. Now, I have to tell you, this is the pot calling the kettle black. Let me restate that. I have been known in the past to be a workaholic. I was brought up that you are what you produce. So, I have this really challenging tendency. I rein myself in a lot, in other words. I have to, because I'll just go and go and go and go and go. And then suddenly I'm sick. Spirit's way of putting me in the bed to get some rest, because I've been overdoing it and I'm not paying attention. So I don't want to be sick in 2020 or any time in the future. Not that any of us want to be sick, but I don't want to create that for myself by ignoring where my heart wants to go. And you know, it's not an easy road to undo the deep conditioning that makes me want to keep working. Work is fine if it's inspired work. But if I'm working out of fear that I'm not going to have enough money to pay the bills, period, then that kind of work isn't really serving me. It's really going to be a really slow, mundane, chipping away at it, gaining in little scripts and scraps way of living. You don't have to go that route. We can all, I know we've heard it 1,000 times, be, do, or have anything you want. And that sounds to many like, yeah, sure. That's just not realistic. Again, I'm going to ask you to stop facing reality, which is old news, by the way. Everything you see, everything you have in your now is ancient history on spirit's level. That's old news. That's what you've created by focusing on whatever you did to get it to this point. So we're really often encouraged to keep looking at what is, and all we do then is keep recreating what is. How about you try just a few minutes a day to create something brand spanking new by letting yourself chill out and dream? Do some vision boards for 2020. Play with that. Give yourself permission to do things that are more fun and not so work-oriented. You know, my mom used to say, and she was a neat neck to the bone, she had us up on Saturday morning scrubbing baseboards. You know, she just really liked a house to be spit and polished. About in her 70s, I can remember her saying to me, you know, the dust will be there. And I thought, isn't that interesting coming from my mother who didn't ever live that way. But she learned it later. She learned it. She knew, you know, we don't always have to be so ducks in a row. We can let things get a little messy. It's okay. It's all good. It's all good. But we're all drawing from life what we're thinking into life. So it's really helpful to be aware of what you're thinking most of the time. Now, we're supposed to be able to think, or are capable of thinking, 80 to 90,000 thoughts a day. That's a little bit much to keep track of. And we'd all go a little crazy if we tried. So I'm not at all advising that. But you can check in with yourself regularly on how you feel. Just maybe once an hour. How am I feeling right now? And if you're feeling satisfied or above on the emotional scale, keep rocking on, sisters and brothers. You're doing great. But if you find that you check in and you're feeling frustrated or pessimistic or downright depressed, I invite you at that time to pivot. It's a process that Abraham teaches, and it just means whatever you've been focused on is creating resistance for you, and that's not serving you anytime ever. So pivot, meaning in your mind's eye, do a 180. Turn away from what you've been thinking and put your attention on something that makes your heart sing. Pet your dog. Look out at the beauty and think, oh my gosh, we are so blessed in these mountains. It's so magnificent here. Anything at all that will bring your vibration back up is the point I'm making. You don't want to allow yourself to do that downward spiral, because that's keeping you stuck right where you are and possibly creating more in your future of what you don't want. Right? So it's easier said than done, I realize. But we can make games of it. We can have fun with it. for the most part, I think you're all probably doing a great job at staying happy most of the time. It's a hard work, isn't it? Right? I mean, you'd think it'd be just a piece of cake of all pieces of cake. Be happy. But we get pulled. You know, circumstances, events, people, somebody says something. It gets us off, and it makes us think that we have to take it personal or understand where they're coming from, or who knows. But I really advise, just let it go. If it doesn't resonate with you, something someone says, or an event you're viewing or participating in, how about you just leave? Go where you feel happier. Take a walk. Get out of the situation, get out of the conversation. No one is holding our feet to the fire. We are free will beings. And so we can have anything we want. But it starts by making the decision to be happy. And that's our play. We have to play with it moment to moment to moment to moment. Am I happy? Oh, I'm slipping a little. What do I need to do to get happier here? Yeah, that's the play. And I invite you to look at it that way. And the more you let yourself just be happy. Now that doesn't mean we're not human and we're going to get mad once in a while. Or we're going to get, really triggered. Gosh knows, and especially at the holidays, we're around a lot of family. Oh, nothing can trigger me faster than being around my family, Because they, as we all do, and this is something else I want to offer to you, try not to hold anybody in a place of negative expectation. In other words, if you've got family members that, we all have, oh, Aunt Elma, she's just always so depressing. Well, what if before I go to that gathering, I see the positive aspects in Aunt Elma, and I focus on those? I guarantee you that she's not going to be depressing when I get there. Because I'm not holding her in that space of being that. We do not create in another space, but we influence. Bear that in mind. Are you holding friends and family, even significant others, in a space of negative expectation? It's a really good question to ask. And if you find you are, try making a list of positive aspects for that person. Things you really can honestly love and admire about them. Focus there. And I promise it's going to be a whole different experience the next time you see them. Now you have to keep working on it. You can't slip back into that old thinking about them. You got to keep looking for those positive aspects. But that's what I mean about when I say get out ahead of it. In 2020, let's not drag our past into our present moment and recreate it. Let's start each segment of our day, if you will, with an intention, as I did this morning. I knew I was running a little late leaving the house. So I said, my car is going to handle beautifully for me. I know the trip is going to be seamless. There'll be no difficulty in traffic. I'll arrive in time. I'll be fine. It's all working out for me perfectly. Got in my car, left. Perfect. I got here with plenty of time. Everything worked out gorgeous. Now I'm telling you, it sounds like it could just be the way it was going to go no matter what. But I influenced that, and I know it. And the more you do that kind of thing, I'm going to go to the grocery store, and I'm going to find everything I need with no effort at all. And I'm going to find that there's a cashier waiting, going, Sandy, hey, I've got you right here. Come on in line. You don't have to wait. I'll take you right through. And it's going to be a wonderful experience. You may even prepave, I'm going to meet somebody in the store that'll be fun to talk to. And by gosh, when it happens just the way you intended it, give yourself a pat on the back and say, yes, I created that. And do it and do it and do it, segment by segment by segment throughout your day. Even the ones that don't turn out that way. Yep, I created that too. Because there's something vibrating in here that made that a match. Not because of what they are or what they did. See, that's the mistake we've been made in this society, to point and blame. When you have an interaction with somebody that is uncomfortable, they're your teacher. They're there like a mirror, showing you, you have this vibrating in you somewhere, so you better take a look. That's what that's about. But we've been trained and brought up to think we need to blame them and then get mad at them and then have retort for them, and down that nasty road we go. Now, love them as the teachers they are, and then take some time later to look at, what made me draw that into my experience? Worth looking at. Yeah. We are that powerful. That's the true message I come to give everyone every time. You were born empowered. You were born worthy. You were born so clear. And it's way overdue for us all to reap the rewards of the work we've done while we've been here. We've put so much into our vibrational escrow, if you will, that you would have to live 10 or 20 lifetimes to experience all the good that is there. It's time for us all to relax more, chill more, let divine inspired guidance come through and dictate our action, and see the miracle that Spirit has orchestrated on your behalf. Because your inner being is in cahoots with the all that is constantly. And it knows exactly what you want. So chill, trust, love it all, and spend a whole lot more time daydreaming. Thank you, and so it is.